everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees the last voyage of the Demeter set to release. This film not expected to make a major splash at the box office, with Barbenheimer expected to once again reign in that 1-2 punch. It will be interesting to see if Oppenheimer is indeed able to regain that number 2 spot. As we all know, Barbenheimer has been very, very powerful at the box office, whereas TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, was able to show itself to be having a little bit more life than what many had expected going into that weekend, but no more so than the Meg 2, which came in at that number 2 spot, expected to have a massive drop of 56%. We've seen bigger drops before, but again, for a movie like this, where the vast majority of its money is being made in China, where they get very little return on investment, it needs to do very, very well in pretty much every other market to be able to make up for the losses that it will see from that country alone. So the Meg 2 having a 56% drop is pretty big for that kind of a movie, with everything that is actually going on around it. But before we go any further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, the 5 button, I see smash the rumble button, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification on. That way you know every time a video, a live stream, goes live on the channel. So as we can see, Barbie is expected to take the number 1 spot once again with another $35.8 million, bringing its total domestic to $529.7 million. So this film is indeed looking to track towards getting well over $600 million, maybe even $650 million when everything is said and done. There's really not a whole lot of films set to come out over the next month or so that's going to provide too much competition against it. So it does have that bit of a cushion there, dropping at only 32% projected this upcoming weekend. And Oppenheimer is also very much right on the cusp of that as well, expected to drop only 33%. We have seen Barbenheimer, again, have very similar drops because of the fact that it is very much a very alive meme that apparently is driving people to go see both films. Though I think that Oppenheimer is probably getting a bigger boost from the meme versus Barbie. I think Barbie is kind of doing a lot of things on its own, whereas Oppenheimer is getting some help, again, not too much help, but some help from the meme overall. I think a lot more people are seeing this 3-hour drama than what otherwise would have seen it outside of the meme. Again, it'll be interesting to find out if they ever do any type of breakdown or any type of analytics on how many people actually went to go see the film who otherwise would not have gone to see it simply because of the meme or primarily because of the meme. I think that would be an interesting stat to actually look at, but those are going to be the number 1 and number 2 punch this weekend. TMNT Mutant Mayhem is expected to make $17.5 million, expected to only drop 38%, so that's a very strong hold for a second weekend drop for a movie like this, bringing its total domestic to 76.4. Because the film cost only around $70 million to make, the film doesn't need to make too much money to break even. So I would say with a drop like that, it's in a pretty decent position to be able to do so, not including any of those international numbers there. But again, I've heard a lot of issues surrounding this movie from people who are hardcore fans of the film. I've heard some people also defending the film too. At the end of the day, though, it is a Seth Rogen production, and I just have no interest in the products that he makes nowadays because of all the crap that he says both on and off screen. The Meg 2, a film that I was going to see but wasn't feeling very well on last Thursday, and so I decided, I'm just going to stay home instead, try to rest up a little bit. And sure enough, it is a film I just have no interest in seeing. I like the first Meg. I thought it was stupid fun. And everything I hear about this movie is that whereas the first movie is stupid fun, this movie is just stupid. So again, take that for what it's worth. Some of you might disagree with that. But this film expected to drop 56%, bring in another $13.3 million to a total domestic of $55 million. So again, not the worst thing in the world. The film did cost around $125 million. So it's not the biggest of overall cost to Warner Brothers. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, it does have a China problem because the vast majority of its money so far, like over $70 million of the money it's made so far, has been made in China, where any Western studio will only get 25% of the cut from that market, and the other 75% will go to the Chinese Communist Party. In addition to that, this movie is being split with a Chinese production company, and so you can almost think of it as the Chinese Communist Party is going to be getting an even larger share of this movie compared to most typical releases there, and so that's why it's going to be interesting to see just how much money, if any, Warner Brothers sees from this deal. Again, they didn't have to spend all the money making the movie, but then also, too, that means that they are not going to be getting all of the money back if there is any money to be brought back in the long run. So Again, Meg 2 could end up being a bit of a wash for Warner Brothers, and even though they have been making some money off of Barbie because they're splitting those revenues with Mattel, the massive losses of films like The Flash, like the upcoming Blue Beetle, based on the projections that we're seeing, don't look very good for that. Now we get to the new release. This is how, again, not well the new release is expected to do. This is a Universal horror film, basically within the vein of Dracula. I know some people have been intrigued by the trailers. It's Dracula on a boat, essentially, is the basic premise of the film. And again, not my cup of tea, not really something I'm drawn to. The CGI looked a little sketch to me, and I'm very big on CGI effects being used only when necessary, and when they are used that they look good. And this just does not look like it for me. Apparently, that's what a lot of people at the box office are going to be indicating with this too. Bringing only 8.8 million projected right now going into the weekend, so definitely a very slow start. And if the film is not able to get good word of mouth and is not able to really bite its teeth into any of the audience demographics, guess what? That means the film will end up dropping pretty precipitously. There is no box office budget as of the recording of this video today. I can't imagine the film costs too much, but when you do add in those CGI elements, that does raise the cost more than what you would expect a film like this to end up costing. So I could see $30-50 million budget for this film, maybe, could possibly even be more. We'll have to wait and see whether or not that is the case, or if they somehow found a way to be smart with their spending on those CG effects. Haunted Mansion from Walt Disney, again, 33% drop, so not the worst drop in the world for a third, fourth week drop, but still not really a whole lot. This film not doing anything, and with a massive $150 million budget, insane that they spend this much. The earnings call yesterday made it very clear that they have not been making very good financial decisions, losing 300,000 Disney Plus subscribers just in core user base in the United States, and losing millions of subscribers worldwide, and not just because they lost cricket in the Indian market, they lost millions elsewhere too. And so I think that, Disney not in a great state, and when it comes to their movies especially, oh boy, they're looking at massive financial losses. Haunted Mansion, again, going to be yet one of them. Sound of Freedom from Angel Studios still hanging around. 2,800 screens is the estimate. 33% drops, 33% hold. So this film started to be around $173.3 million. So it's definitely in the possibility that this film does reach 200 million domestic by the end of its run. We do know it's starting to release internationally in different markets over the next few weeks, and so that obviously will continue to add to its overall totals. But ultimately, when we look at these numbers and when we look at the film, it is still very, very impressive. So again, shout out to them for being able to do such a great amount of work there. Then you have Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, still a terrible name, way too long, 26% hold. As I've been saying, this movie is going to hold a lot better than other films because that's kind of been the nature of most Mission Impossible movies. Add to that the fact that the film is really good, and the fact that the vast majority of people that have seen it have been praising it. It makes sense that the film is going to have holds like this. Is it going to be able to be enough to bring it out of the realm of obscurity, to bring it to box office success? No. Just, again, mathematically, it's not really possible. But hey, kudos to them. I suspect that we'll probably end up having some chart-breaking numbers by the end of its run on the positive end for this movie. I just don't think it's going to be necessarily enough in this capacity. Talk to Me, the horror film from A24, also holding pretty strong there at 35% drop. And Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, 37% drop, but only now in 750 theaters, only eking out $1 million is what they are projecting. And yeah, that's still being a film for Disney, being probably the biggest box office bomb of this year, and if not of the last several years, because it's likely going to lose over $300 million for Disney when you take into account how much they spent on it, how much they spent on marketing, and how little the film has actually made in the long run. But those are the box office numbers as they currently stand. So what are y'all's thoughts? Do you have any interest in going to see The Last Voyage of the Demeter, or are you going to be embracing the Barbenheimer effect if you have not done so already? Personally, I don't think either film is really worth going to see for various different reasons. I think Oppenheimer is definitely the better film, but even Oppenheimer has some issues with runtime, with very pretentious filmmaking style of Nolan, which normally I don't mind, but in this film, it just felt like it was very, very heavy-handed, in addition to the completely unnecessary sex scenes, which, again, very unlike Nolan to have scenes like that in his movie, but it really does not serve any purpose whatsoever, and I really have no other interest in a lot of these other films set to come out. So, hey, I would say go see Sound of Freedom again, go support that movie, or go to see, again, other films at your local theater, older releases, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, I just told you is a lot of fun. So if you like those movies in general and you haven't seen it yet, seriously, go watch it. Probably won't be a packed theater, but that's probably a good thing in the long run. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Still will have my July shout outs. Again, my voice is still on the mend, and as you can see, I am dressed for work, and I will try to get that video recorded as soon as possible. But thank you all for your patience, and thank you to everyone who has been a supporter during this month of August. You guys are great. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless. now for a special shout out to all of my members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above, starting off first with my members over on Patreon: Father Luca Illick, Heimir Irie Hymason, Garrett Searles, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Orange Hat Reviews, check out his YouTube channel by the same name, Laura, the Monomator General's Story, Rosetta Allen, check out her YouTube channel, Eagle Rider, and Miss Martin Muses, check out her YouTube channel by the same name as well. To my Subscribe Star peeps, Zion Voders, Matt317, check out his Twitch channel by the same name, Fast Reaction, The R, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, The Beer Guru, and ZK Man, who you can check out over at xtheboundaries.co. And lastly, to my locals members, Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, How About a Hockey Player, J.H. Schwalbach, and Robert Barnes, the amazing lawyer. So thank y'all very much for being my supporters at the Keep of the Bifrost level and above. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out that top link in the video description below to find out ways to sign up to support the channel and to be able to get access to things like the shoutouts, but also to giveaways. I have an exclusive giveaways channel on my Discord server where I give away 4Ks, Blu-rays, all kinds of stuff, and also access to an exclusive podcast that I do once or twice a month, depending on what I'm able to get accomplished, especially over the course of this crazy, crazy busy summer. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.